Hello, this is Eric Miles with Seattle Christian Counseling, and today I am happy to introduce Rachel McKay and Andrew Engstrom, and they are going to be talking about marriage and affairs. I hope you enjoy this message and really get something good from it.
Hello, I'm Andrew Engstrom.
And I'm Rachel McKay.
Rachel, what are you seeing in your practice that has you thinking about healthy sexuality?
There are a number of things. It's just such a prevalent topic with every client that I've seen.
Yeah.
Sex is so core to identity, it seems.
Yes.
It comes up in a lot of conversations around
Yeah.
what people are seeing in themselves, in society, in their relationships.
Or it should come up in conversations.
Right.
Because very often it doesn't come up.
Right. Well, and that's even more true where we're kind of dancing around the topic of sex and sexuality, and then finally, in a moment of courage and bravery that we often see, it comes to the surface.
I find that when I ask a really broad question like, how else are you doing or something, sometimes I'll see that really courageous client be like, our sex life isn't well. But I'll also see when I'm finally pushing into sexuality, because I'm learning more and more how important, how core that is to the couple, that usually I'll get a plethora of answers there. Or, that's an issue right away after there's like the, can we talk about it?
Right, which is that pretty common, the reaction that you've seen?
Definitely,
the hesitation there.
And it's, if not the most intimate thing that you've got there, certainly very intensely intimate, and I can see why. But as you probably would agree, we have a lot of silence, covert training about not talking about sex, and therefore shaming about sex. Just culturally, I guess, I could say probably the world over. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And then it begins on the individual level and how you interact with sexuality on your own, and then when you enter in a relationship, how that carries on.
Right. Because you've all got these deep desires, these thoughts, this really, yearning for and acting into, however people do, and then it's met with a lot of silence from almost every authority figure. What, as you look through your life, were the people who pulled you aside and said, let's talk about what sex looks like?
Right.
Very few. And certainly the church is usually pretty silent on the topic. And when we do, I'm glad we do, it's often not like, hey, sex is good, God made it, make sure you're doing it. This is what the Bible says.
Right.
The command, like, don't stop having sex. And if you do for a while to fast, then get back into it. And we just kind of, it's one of the verses I find we skip over.
Oh, 100%. Many verses about sex and sexuality that are kind of ignored.
Yeah, it's all in there, right?
So where do you think that comes from, that hesitation to dive into those conversations when it is something that...
I have a theory.
Let's hear it.
All right. The enemy is so desperately clever and motivated to pervert what is good, right? God gives gifts, and if we go for the gifts first, then the devil's got what he wants, right? If we can make our life about getting fulfillment from, various substances to just the way you can spend your leisure time, to sex, anything that's a gift that God's given us here on earth, then it becomes an idol, because you want your fulfillment from that, right? And you'll say, hang on, God, just a second. I'll get right to you. And your direction is from gift to God, right? Soon as the enemy can get us doing that, boom, we're in a perfect setup for things to become shaming, because we'll know deep in our heart that we've got a wrong relationship with this thing, but we don't want to give it up. Why should we? It's the most beautiful gift.
Right.
So what's the best gift we've got?
Right. Which is often why I think there's conflict in that. Because people are sensing that it's something good, but also they feel a lot of shame that it's something really wrong.
Double bind.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And so then trying to continue to process that. So it's a challenge, and I see that desire from people that I'm working with, that they want to go there.
Yeah.
They often are struggling to know how to go there.
So what do you do?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I think, as I'm continuing learning and growing with my clients, that sitting with them in that and validating that we're feeling this right now, that this is uncomfortable, and it's okay. Yeah. And normalizing for the first time, it's okay to be talking about these things in a truly vulnerable and honest way.
Yeah, there are emotions about it. Let us sit in them.
Right. Right. And experience that.
The good discomfort. So, what are your thoughts when you're talking with a client, when you want to direct toward what is healthy sexuality?
A big piece is understanding how that's been shaped up to that point for me, and understanding where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And I find that often when I ask people about, well, when did you first kind of become aware of sex and what were your views around that? They're jumping to adolescence, but then as we explore that even further, they're looking before, like even childhood, how their parents interacted or people around them interacted, or older siblings, and realizing that this starts from day one on how we interact with sex and sexuality, but it's not something that's permissible to even consider until adolescence, and then not something that's permissible to discuss until much later, or within a marriage even.
And are you finding also that even when people get into marriage, they're still not discussing sex?
Because of their whole life, we don't discuss that.
I refer to family of origin often as the training program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, you were trained to not talk about sex. How often do you hear people saying that their first encounters with sexuality was finding dad's pornography stash? Do you run into that?
Or brothers, or variety of different people in their life.
And male and female, they have this very confusing experience where it's like, this is what my parent is doing, which I'm sure they got from their parent or somewhere, and this has something lovely about it, and there's something here leading me somewhere else, and they're really confused about it because of I would say the lack of leadership on it, and that really key silence.
So when you hear that, do you find that people are still experiencing confusion around that experience?
Definitely, certainly. And as long as you remain silent, you can keep confusion about a topic that people are having sex. They're making children. They're married. Maybe they're not having sex nearly as much as people are thinking, and maybe more sometimes. But you can go your whole life without really talking through, thinking through, understanding for yourself, having an intentional time about it.
Right. So I mean, we've discussed a number of possibilities within this topic that we could continue to dive into.
Yes, indeed.
But I think what we've kind of drawn out up to the surface is that there needs to be more conversations about this.
At least more talking.
Yeah, and that a level of comfortability that these conversations can take place in a healthy way.
And a comfort with the uncomfort that it's going to bring to talk about it.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts with me.
It was lovely talking with you, Rachel.
Likewise.
Here's to therapy.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed the Seattle Christian Counseling educational production. You can find us online at seattlechristtiancounseling.com or give us a call at 206-388-3929. Seattle Christian Counseling, professional help with faith-based values.